Brilliant. So thanks, Richard. Thanks very much for taking a little bit of time out your day to speak to me. We'll kick off with the simple one first. Let's tell us the company and what your role is in the company.
Oh, nothing's ever simple with me. That's the first thing. But let's start with me first of all, because I've actually come out from semi-retirement, and the reason why I've come out from semi-retirement is all linked into this digital revolution that's going on around us. Because essentially, we're going to see around 15 trillion of wealth that's going to be
Wow.
created per annum. And I'm wanting to ensure that you personally and your followers go off and get a share of this 15 trillion.
Wow. That's a
Now,
lot
now,
of dough.
now yeah, it is a lot of dough. Now what we've done is that we've put. I'm the founder and chair of a business, Globolution, and Globolution's so named because there's a revolution that's going on. So, and what makes this kind of business very, very different is that we've got a private family investment fund. We invest into businesses, and that ranges all the way from, as an example, in our portfolio, a research analyst, technology business, Blow Research, nearly 40 years old, very well known in its circle. Your audience probably wouldn't know it, but very well known in its circle. And that stretches all the way through into product marketing, sales, obviously into technology, from technology into HR and finance, into wealth planning, wealth management, wealth creation, taxation. And that's the portfolio that sits under Globolution. So if anyone in your audience is looking for funding to be able to go off and expand, hey, just hit you up or hit me up and we can have a great chat.
Brilliant. Brilliant. It's a great offer. So tell me, so how would you describe your role in the group?
So I'm the founder, and this is going to be a bit unusual for your audience. Right? I've actually built a digital version of me. So we've got this AI revolution that's going on, obviously, and everyone would be aware about the impact or worry around their job. Because what we have is that we've got technology companies who want to go off and do this kind of thing on a commodity base. And therefore, what they're trying to do at the minute is, hey, can we go off and make this more human? Can we go off and look at this digital worker and humanize it? And I just think that's absolutely bonkers, because if I'm wanting augmented, build your own. And that's what I've done. I've built one of the first ever digital, they call it digital me, essentially. So what I'm able to do is that my digital me is able to sit inside organizations with leadership or management or any individual. They're able to go off and have a chat with it. And then when they need me, I'm able to come in to do my special bit of 20% of the magic to go off and kind of make a difference, essentially. And I'm essentially a designer architect. Because in this world in which we're now in, we're moving from a world which was very commodity based, at best output driven. But this world we're moving into, where this 15 trillion is about a generative economy. And one of the challenges is around the dots are on a page. You can almost go off and, hey, let's join the dots to go off and form a business and build a business. And these dots were numbered, Now, what we've got now is that these dots aren't numbered. And actually, there's a whole bundle of dots that I'll probably kind of throw at you in the audience that are not even on your page. So my skill set is around being able to join those dots up to enable outcomes.
Brilliant. And how does that, is there anybody else doing this sort of stuff? Would you say this is a unique?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe it is absolutely unique. It won't be, it's a question of how long will it be unique for? So it's certainly unique today because this is a different pathway. See, the key thing about the pathway we are going down is that there's 2.2 billion workers, white collar workers in the world, out of the 3.4 billion. And quite simply, it's accepted at least 50% of what you do, you don't need to be doing and you won't be doing in the future. So where we have tech companies going off and saying, well, look, hey, this digital worker, AI, it's not going to take your job. Don't worry about it. Yeah, on one hand, that's true. But if it's taking 50% away of what you do, it means if I've got two people, I only need one. So if there's 2.2 billion workers, then we've got 50% is being removed. That leaves us with 1.1 billion. And I kid you not, I'd be able to come back and show this to your audience if they'd be interested. But I'll be able to kind of share with you how 25,000 digital workers can do the work of 1 billion.
Wow.
And you have to make a decision. Your audience needs to be thinking, do you want to have your own digital worker? Or do you want to see a tech company go off and produce a digital worker isn't you? Because your digital worker means that you can move your 5 days to 4 days to 3 days because your digital worker's there 24/7. Right? Which means it's there for 8,000 hours plus, as opposed to your
Absolutely.
2,000 hours. You know, the next thing is my digital worker works at 30, 40, 50, 100 times faster than me.
Yeah. It's all. This is all a fascinating situation, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's insane the world in which we're moving into.
How did you get into this? You said you're sort of a tech designer and architect. How did you get into a business that's doing what it's doing now?
Well, I guess that's a little bit linked into. I think my mum had a big role to play. You know, if I look at business, I look at my mum, right? And it might seem really strange. My mum wasn't. She didn't own a business, right? But she was very, very entrepreneurial in the businesses, and this is what makes it very, very unique. Everyone's familiar with the gig economy now,
Yeah.
right? Well, my mum must have created that back in the 60s because she had 4 jobs. And
Wow.
two of these jobs gave a guaranteed income, and 2 didn't give a guaranteed income. Have a guess which ones paid the most money? Ding ding.
The non-guaranteed.
Guaranteed income. It was the variable income. It wasn't secure. So my mum was an entrepreneur. And when you've got that in your DNA, when you're seeing that level of creativity and you're being brought up with it every single minute of the day, because she's raising 3 boys at the same time as doing this. My dad's working 70 hours a week.
Wow.
So that had a great influence in terms of just shaping my mind and how it's wired, because I'm wired that way.
No, that's fantastic. What would you say is your biggest learning from running a business or learnings?
Wow. That's, that's oh God. I think number of things here. I was given a bit of advice from the first non-exec director, first Ned I went off and brought in. And he said to me, hey, Richard, you need to sell this business as quickly as possible. And I didn't get it. Right? I thought, what? You want me to go off and kind of sell? Yeah, I've only just kind of started it. We're just, and he said, and that never resonated with me until now. So that's a big lesson, right? To anyone who's out there, right? Sell if you've got a business, sell it inside your first 3 years.
Wow. Okay.
The other thing, and what that goes off and kind of leads into, the emergence of having a shareholder plan. And I would probably guarantee that the majority of the audience won't have a shareholder plan. They'll have a business plan.
Yeah.
But you need to connect the shareholder plan with the business plan.
That's interesting.
And you want to be able to go off and enable that to get the connect with the people. Because if you've got your personal dreams, your personal aspirations, being able to get that same connect with an individual, can you get this alignment? And if you get that alignment, you unlock something that's absolutely magical.
No, that's brilliant. That's very interesting. Yeah, thanks for that. So tell us a bit, do you have a daily routine or what does your daily routine look like? Is there such a thing?
Yeah, there is such a thing. What my routine now is. So 40% of my time I spend in conversation. Now this is going to kind of throw you a little bit because I split that in two because I spend 20% of my time, like today, we were having a chat, and it's from these conversations. That's where you get the best ideas. That's when you go off and come up with your gems. So I've got 20% of my time set aside for that. But it's for human chat, that is. And I now set aside 20% of my time to speak to me, my digital me, which might seem a bit bonkers to your
Remarkable.
audience. But I sit there and I talk to it. It's got my culture, my values, my behavior, all of my learnings, all of my experiences, and also what I've gleaned from many, 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 many others. Right? It understands where I've come from. It understands where I'm going. It's got the design skill sets, so the methodologies that I've used in design. As an example, hey, finance. You got to fixed costs are a nemesis. You need to be able to go off and get fixed cost to variable and peg it to a metric. Right? All this is built into my digital me now. So 40% of my time I spend in conversation. I then spend 20% of my time in dialogue. 20% of it then goes into the analysis piece. And I've got 20%, it pops out the choices. And these choices are not right or wrong, because right and wrong doesn't exist now. It's a simple choice. And you want to.
So you got to make a decision.
Correct. And when you make that decision, don't be scared to change it.
Yeah.
So fail it fast. And make sure you've got a structure in your business that enables these things to happen. So maybe think about the new things that you're doing and have it kind of sitting away outside of the tactical day to day.
Yeah, it's fascinating you say that because when I speak to clients and other business owners, one of the things we try to get them to do is make decisions
Yeah.
because paralysis can come about by you just thinking about things too much and actually not making a decision to do X or Y. You just keep on thinking about and thinking and thinking when actually doing is where the action is. You've got to take action. As you said, if you do it wrong, most decisions are not life threatening. It's not like flying a plane or something. So if it goes wrong, you can change it. But if you do nothing, then you're just thinking about it for weeks and weeks and months, and
Yeah.
nothing's
And
happening.
I totally agree. And this is where the world in which we're in now, this becomes really, really, really important. And I would urge any founder or even anyone who thinks that they could be a founder in the future, this world in which we're in now, 3 months is a year.
Yeah.
Right? That's the speed in which we're operating. So if you
Super
sit
fast.
on something, right, you're going to have a major problem because your operating model has to change. You don't have any option but to go off and do change, because if you sit doing the same things that you've done historically, you will not be around. And it doesn't matter if you're someone who is self-employed, selling their time, let's say as a coach. I'm saying that because I see action coach in the background there, right?
Yeah.
Because the whole piece around monetization is just going to go off and change immensely. The value proposition that one has, you're going to have to change your value proposition. Because what I'm interested in, I'm sure the rest of your audience would be, what are the outcomes? So for my
100%.
shareholder piece, it's very, very simple. Right? There's two key things. I want dividend, share price. And something that's very, 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 very important to us all is that we want to have capitalism for societal greatness. Coming
Interesting.
back
Yeah.
into this 15 trillion, because
Yeah.
it needs
Yeah.
to be shared more evenly. There's a massive impact on our public services. Just look at what's happened with taxation in the UK.
Yeah,
momentum
yeah.
running in the US. You know, it's a big, big issue.
A huge issue. It's interesting because on another tact, who who do you admire? Who do you think of when you think of success from, particularly that model you just said about it's not just being in business, but actually social impact? Who inspires you?
I had, I mentioned my mum, and maybe because I'm a mummy's boy at heart. Because I mean, when I just think back to I mean, I can remember not being able. My mum and dad. We had to. We were one of the first buyers of Cadbury Smash because we couldn't afford potatoes. So, any of your audience, go off and do the little Google with the aliens on the Cadbury Smash advert because it tasted horrid.
Yeah, I remember that advert. I'm old enough to remember.
It wasn't all that great, but the ad was fab. That dehydrated potato. Oh my god! So I come back to my family. It's my family. We were brought up in a totally different generation about going off and giving, not about taking. Like hey, there used to be another ad, right, with a Rolo. Hey, let me give my last Rolo. There's another ad that was there.
Yeah, I remember
So,
that one.
so people like that, people who want to go off and make a difference and not just say it, absolutely do it. Andrew Carnegie, he was a great example. When you look at the businesses that he went off and built and the legacy that he's gone off and left. And I've tried to do that myself. I've got a charity called Digital Anthropology, which is there to support people who are impacted by AI and by the digital worker that threatens their job. Because it is a
Interesting, yeah.
threat.
Yeah, one to look up. So tell me, is it possible even, because this question I usually ask about where do you go in the next 5 years? Are you able to even think about 5 years in the future or?
Oh my God. So for me, that's like 20 years ahead, with my 3 months being a year.
Yeah.
Right. 5 years, way too far ahead. If anybody's sitting with a 5-year plan, tear it up. Right? Just tear it up. You want to be looking probably 18 to 24 months ahead, in my
Okay.
opinion. And that's a long period in time in this new world.